I don't believe it. The Dallas Mavericks finally pull out a clutch game. It wasn't without a sweat, but Mitchell and I are going to dive into the whole thing right here on another Mavs pod.
Welcome to another Mavs podcast, a weekly show about your Dallas Mavericks and the official pod of MFFL.
Man, we're finally back. As always, this is Jake or MFFL. I'm joined by a future PGA Tour golfer, Mitchell Jackson. Mitchell, the Mavs sneak out a win, 121-119 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. How are you feeling after that sweat?
Man, the only thing I can say is that Luka Doncic has been the problem the entire time, ladies and gentlemen. Nah, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
All right, Mavs Twitter.
No, but it feels good, man. You finally get a quality win against a good opponent. Literally first, I believe in the West. I could be wrong. But you're able to go in there on the road, win without Luka, and get a good quality win playing good team basketball. So yeah, that's a good way to close out the an embarrassing week and a half, 2 weeks, and you get to look forward to what's to come.
Yeah, and Mitchell, I just have to address the obvious. We haven't done a pod in about a week and a half. It wasn't because the Mavs were losing. It was because Mitchell was on the studio ready to roll, and I fell asleep at 9 p.m. So I'll take the full blame for that. But we're back. We're going to be dropping an episode every week. But ultimately, Mitchell, before we get into the Mavericks finally being back, I figured we need to talk about a round of golf, or my round of golf and your 10 holes.
Yeah, so I had to celebrate my fiance's birthday, so my play was cut short, but that was my first round of golf in 13 years. Yes, we're back. We're back. So yeah, no, it felt really good to get back out there. You know, I during the pandemic I picked up disc golf and everybody was roasting me for playing fake golf, so I decided to get some clubs and get back into it. I've been to the driving range. I played another round this weekend, so uh, things are looking up.
They are looking up, and we played a scramble against two of my buddies, and we tied them through 9 holes. We're not going to talk about what happened on the 10th, but I'm happy with that.
It was a Reggie Miller choke emote, definitely. That's what happens when you make me tee off, but I was pleasantly surprised. A little bit of beginner's luck there with some of my approach shots. I was looking like 2008 Tiger for a little bit, and then I
You
was
were.
also looking like 2024 Tiger for a majority of it. So we just got to find a balance.
So I played with my girlfriend Janie this weekend, and for whatever reason, every single drive I had, my driver, it was hitting the grass. I don't know why.
Oh
It's
man,
not supposed to happen. So any of you MFFLs that are into golf, if you have any tips, I tried straight in the left arm, rotating the wrist. I think I watched too many YouTube videos pre-round, but man, I was atrocious.
golf is such a mental game. Like I feel like the more you think about it, the worse you're gonna play. You just got to get out there and just do the damn thing.
That's interesting. Because, yeah, my best round ever was when I just wasn't thinking and I was with people that I hardly knew. So maybe that's the key. Just think less.
Think less, play more.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of think less, kind of want to dive into the last 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute of that Mavs game. And man, between the Kyrie jump ball and Najee slipping on defense against Shea, and then again on offense, what was your biggest takeaway from the last 2 minutes of Mavs basketball tonight?
Yeah, the Kyrie play call. I don't know if they drew that up. That was really questionable. I thought he was going to get fouled quite a bit, but I'm glad they didn't call a foul because, you know, that's what happened to us, and you lose a game against Phoenix at home, and that's still controversial. I'm not over that, so I'm glad the refs finally learned to swallow a whistle. Um,
Right.
but more concerning is, you know, the intentional miss. You know it's coming when you foul them. and we weren't able to secure a rebound, and I'm sweating bullets on a Lou Dort three.
Man, I thought that was cash money. My heart dropped, Mitchell.
Honestly, though, we would have deserved it. Like,
Right.
bro, you had all of your people out there, all your big men, and you couldn't secure it. So that I don't know. I think Followell said they turned the ball over on 4 of their last 5 possessions. You're up 11 with like 3.5 minutes left, and you almost smoked that game. That's kind of concerning, but you find a way to win.
So right at that moment, we were up, I think 11 or 12 at 8 o'clock, and I tweeted the meme of the Army man just looking like he's seen some things, and I said, going to be another close Mavs game going into the fourth, and people were like, "Oh, we're up 11, we're fine." But man, if you've watched this team, you know they don't win the close games. Thank God they did tonight, but they have to make it close, and for better or for worse, the games are going to be close. But man, we can talk about how they almost choked as much as we want, but at the end of the day, they won, and they won without their best player in Luka Doncic. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and I really want to address the doom-pilled Mavs fans. Like, the score may have been closer, but for you to go in and play without Luka and you have people step up in the way that they did should show signs of promise moving forward. I know we're 7-7, but if you go back, like a couple baskets here and there in that 4-game losing streak, and you're looking at being what 10-4, 10-3. So I don't know. Like, I know there's a lot of people freaking out about where this team is at, but you play some first of all, PJ Washington had a sprained knee. Perimeter defense is this team's biggest weakness.
Right.
You're missing your best defender, and you're still playing like some of the top teams in the league to one possession, and that's why every possession matters. But I don't think a 7-7 record is indicative of the talent on this team, and I don't think there's time to sound any alarm bells.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Mitchell. Shout out to PJ Washington. We're going to get into that without a doubt. But from Luka updates on Twitter, this is before tonight's game, but they said the Suns' points scored this season is 1,455 points. The Mavs' points scored this season is 1,481 points. So the Mavs have outscored the Suns. The Suns have a record of 9-4. The Mavs have a record of 6-7, obviously before tonight's game. But the Suns also, the points against them is 1,465. The Mavs points against them is 1,429. So it's very interesting. The Mavs, to your point, could easily now have a record of 10-4 versus 7-7. But regardless, to your point, it's early. I'd said all along I'm not going to overreact until Thanksgiving or then maybe even Christmas, but it's an 82-game season. The Mavs are 7-7. Sure, they've had some bad beats, but they win a clutch game. And, yeah, to all the season's over people on Twitter, I don't know what they have to say about tonight.
And there's things that you can take away that you like, even in a loss. Like Najee Marshall finally playing good basketball. I think that's something that we've all been waiting on. He's shown up. You're seeing PJ Washington healthy again. I mean, that man went crazy tonight. And I've always been his biggest fan, bro. I name drop him in every podcast. So 27-17 tonight, bro.
We have the receipts.
I texted you because I've been working on work stuff. I wasn't able to catch the first half of the game, but I checked the box score. That man had like, what was it, 14-7 in 13 minutes in the first half. He finishes 10 of 10 from the free throw line. He shot 75% from 3. And he plays good defense. Like, yeah.
Mitchell, the vibes are, dare I say, immaculate from PJ Washington. And he's playing with the bum knee, like you said.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yes. Yeah, no, I really like where we're at, and honestly, I'm not worried at all. I do think that you end up being a 3-4 seed in the West when it's all said and done, and I don't know. I still think you can beat anybody in the league because we've been banged up. You've missed Kai. You've missed Luka, you had PJ out for several games, and you're still like within one possession. I don't know. I think there's a lot to feel good about.
Yeah, I agree with you. And is there any way we can have our opponent every single night wear orange in some capacity so we can get Michael Jordan / Steph Curry version of PJ?
No, literally, bro. I mean, you're not going to get that kind of stat line every single night. 17 rebounds is insane. He had 6 offensive rebounds. Like, I mean, that's what you do when your biggest star is out. Somebody has to step up, and especially with Clay struggling, who's it going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Your bench played well tonight
Yeah,
too.
Clay
Jaden Hardy, 13.
Clay did struggle though. I think yeah, we definitely have to talk about that 9% field goal and 5 points, 3 boards. But regardless, we're not gonna just sulk in that. But yeah, to your point, the bench had a heck of a game.
And you're going to need that. You're going to need that. If you want to go far and win the West, it's not going to be all from your starting five. You have to have depth. And I think you're starting to see Jaden Hardy, the game's kind of slowing down for him a little bit. He's starting to play efficient minutes. And that's what I'm saying, bro.
Mhm.
It's a long season. You want to figure this stuff out early, right? Like it's better to be 7-7 at the beginning of the season than go in on a losing skid after the All-Star break and you're worried about, you know, I don't know. Like some people were calling us a play-in team. I've never seen it, and I'm talking about Charles Barkley.
Man, I mean, obviously you'd rather have a start like the Cavs, right? Undefeated, but there's only one direction the Cavs can go, and there's only one direction the Mavs can go. Not to take a shot at the 15-0 Cavs. They're a great team, but I mean, they're inevitably going to lose some games, and the Mavs inevitably are going to go on a winning streak. But I did want to tap in, Mitchell, not to flex on you, but fantasy basketball right now. I'm 3-0. We play week by week. About to be 4-0, up 230 to 130. So I just got to check in. I've had some fans ask about Yahoo Fantasy, especially with the hiatus. How is the Yahoo Fantasy team doing, and who's been the standout players for you?
Oh man, so it's been rough. I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like this is something we need to talk about too with the NBA turning into Cupcake League. But so many players hurt. I have Malik Monk out for
Yep.
weeks. Paolo Banchero out for weeks. Bogdanovich is finally coming back after being gone for 3 weeks. Jokic has missed 2 games. He literally lost me my matchup this week because he was out for personal reasons.
I have him as well.
The only 2 games they played this week, and he was out for both of them. But on the bright side, I've picked up some players like Malik Beasley, Shaden Sharp for Portland, and of course Scottie Pippen Jr. Like all these dudes are eating, so I'm not worried when my team gets healthy. But I don't know, man. The NBA, I know they've talked about like trying to get players to be like active more in games, but it's gotten to a point where there's so many people out. I don't know if it's a conditioning thing or what, but it's frustrating, man.
Are you not buying the star injuries?
I'm not. And I don't
Well,
think it's like Joel
granted,
Embiid level, but
did
I don't know.
Jokic? Why was Jokic out? Did he have a kid or something?
Oh, I don't know. It just said personal reasons. And if he had a kid, congratulations, you should miss basketball for that. Like some things are bigger, but
Right.
it
I
says
think he did,
personal
but I have
reasons.
yet.
Yeah.
Right. Kid, if I remember right on Twitter, but I have yet DeJounte Murray, Scotty Barnes, Sohan. I might be butchering that on the Spurs, but they're all hurt. So yeah, it's. I mean, it's sad the amount of stars looping in Sohan to the stars category is crazy. But the amount of stars that are hurt is not good for the NBA, and it's not good for the viewership of the league.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw, I mean, we'll talk about this for a second, but I don't know if you saw a couple weeks ago that Adam Silver was talking about how viewership is down in the United States. And it's like, bro, it's because nobody can afford to watch these games. Like everybody's on back streams and Seth streams and Stream East, bro. Like the viewership's not down. It's just people don't want to pay to watch. Which brings me to another question. Another question. Are you still Antenna Gang, or did you pay up?
So I totally forgot about Seth streams and back streams, but I'm still Antenna Gang, and I really, other than weirdly like midway through the fourth, I had a slight pixelation, but other than that, I'm full out Antenna Gang. And then hear me out, I got my parents' Prime. I'm the only person that doesn't have Amazon, but regardless, they have TNT on there, and that's the only thing thus far that's been blacked out on the old satellite. So I have no complaints. Locked into channel 29 still.
All
How's
right,
Mavs
well,
TV been though?
now that I've paid the 1 year subscription and it's been a couple weeks, I've forgotten that I spent money on it, and honestly, it's just felt good. The quality's really good. I'm happy with the purchase. I am also happy that was it ESPN that picked up Inside the NBA. That's cool.
Yeah, and ABC both.
Yeah. So it's funny. I think Charles Barkley made a comment. Wow, second Charles Barkley mentioned in the pod. Um, he mentioned he would never work for ESPN. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes, because they're gonna put that man on everything. He'll be on ESPN Deportes
Right.
at 6 in the morning.
ESPN 12. So I have seen that, and the old San Antonio women, but I'm not gonna get into that. But regardless, Najee Marshall did not tweet about churros, but he did tweet about smiley faces and drop like 10 of them. And man, that makes me smile. I'm so happy for that man.
Yeah. I really enjoy the Inside in the NBA. I think it's good for like the casual fan. Maybe not ball knowers, but the casual fan to get
Oh,
that like
get outta here.
comedic relief. Bro, I mean, come on.
Man,
They say some
it's
they
good for
say some-
everyone.
They say some interesting things for I don't know. They say some hot takes just to like churn it up a little bit, but I don't know. It's
Well,
fun to watch.
Charles Barkley is literally paid to watch the NBA, and he doesn't know probably 90% of the starters in the NBA, but it's so entertaining. And so when they were in Dallas, not last year, but the year prior for the Western Conference Finals, man, I went and I saw Shaq walk by in person, and it was just so entertaining, and it's just so great. Ernie really holds everyone together. but,
Ernie's
man,
the GOAT. Ernie's the GOAT.
It's a special show.
You can tell they're getting older because they never run to the screen like they used to. When Kenny does the analytical breakdown, like Shaq's like, my knees are busted, I can't run anymore. But no, my favorite bit that they do is that FanDuel sponsorship thing, and it's like, hey Chuck, how many times is Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic gonna score tonight? And they're like nervously staring at the camera like a gun's being held to them. I don't know why I find that so funny.
What's that segment where Charles Barkley guesses players? Have you
Yeah,
ever seen
that's
that
it.
one? Oh,
Is
who
that-
he play for? Who he play for is what I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
That's another classic.
That's a good one.
But yeah, to your point, it's not like elite analytics, but it's super entertaining. and
fun,
It's one of
it's
the funniest
funny.
shows on television.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Mitchell, I feel like I don't want to bring it up, but we have to. Are we going to talk about the 4 games prior to tonight?
I kind of touched on it. It's a sore subject, but some of it was just bad reffing, and that's the Tony Brothers, literally the wrath of Tony Brothers for the Phoenix game. That one was like a clear, blatant, like, bro, just swallow the whistle. There's no need to affect the outcome of the game like that. I didn't think it was a foul personally. I thought he got all ball. And then, that's why every possession matters, man. Like a couple turnovers here and there, like maybe get back, transition defense. Those games are different. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it because you've turned around and you've put together 2 quality wins since. So
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it either. Obviously, it's frustrating inevitably, but I want to kind of touch on this. So in close games this year, you have Golden State, Denver, Phoenix, Indiana, and Houston, or Indianapolis, excuse me. But you have Golden State. The Mavs were down 13, lost by 3. Denver, you were down 10, you lost by 2. The Phoenix Suns, we were down 14, lost by 1. I don't know why I said Indianapolis. I was thinking red zone today. Uh, Indiana Pacers down 13, lost by 7. Houston, we're down 23 and lost by 6. So sure, there's some ugly losses in there, but at the end of the day, thank God they at least made it close. I know that doesn't show up in the box score, but they're yet to just get crushed this season, and that in itself is a win.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's like just don't get yourself in those kind of holes. But like, I feel like they've been starting games well, but it's like that second half hangover that they just can't get over. So I don't know that maybe a point of emphasis is to come out in the second half. You got to start better, bro. 'Cause in the NBA, you cannot dig yourself a hole. Honestly, I think 15 points is when the game starts to become out of reach. Anything below that is probably still a game, but you just can't do that to yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot, and there's no reason as to why you can't start quicker or play better.
Right.
In that, like midway through the third, I feel like is when they blow it all the time.
Right, and the last 2 games they've started well. The 4-game losing streak was a slow start, and I think some of that can be fixed with Lively starting. And
It may be
I don't
time.
wanna,
I agree with you.
Gafford has moments, man, where I'm just like, what are you doing? I still love Gafford, don't get me wrong, but he even admitted, he's like, hey, I need to be more physical, and we saw that tonight. But there's moments of his where I'm like, what are we doing? But tonight, I mean, 12 rebounds, 11 points. We're not gonna. You love plus minus. He was minus 12, but I
Yeah.
don't think
I was
that's a
literally
fair
telling
stat.
myself I'm not going to mention that stat whatsoever.
Go ahead. Go. Feel free to bring it up with anyone else.
Well, I mean, I mean, I won't get into plus minus, but I will get into Gafford. Like, you almost saw that in the last play of the game. Like, box out, get the rebound. You don't have to worry about Lou Dort chucking up a Hail Mary. So
Yeah,
I
when their
agree with
tallest
you.
player is 6'5", come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I do think it's time for Lively to start. He did play 8 more minutes tonight. And again, I wasn't able to catch the first half, so I don't know who started out the game, but I do think it's time. He's obviously the better player. He's one of the best centers in the league, in my opinion, Derek Lively. So, yeah, that's a J Kid lineup thing, and we know how we all feel about that.
I tweeted tonight something I never thought I would tweet, which was great timeout by Kid because I thought it would advance the ball, and for whatever reason it didn't. So I take that
He may
back.
have thought the same thing. That's you know.
Well, it was supposed to, but it was some weird NBA rule. You have to take 2 in a row. Regardless, though, Derek Lively did start tonight, so that was good. But Mitchell, I did want to tell a little story because, as I mentioned, episode 1, we're going to talk about a lot of things that aren't basketball. But this weekend, for whatever weird reason, I had 2 foods from 2 grocery stores with gas, and I'm curious if you've ever tried either. So I had this was very sketchy, but I had sushi from Kroger.
Hell no,
Th- So that's what I thought, but it was pretty fire. They were like, it wasn't like just a 7-Eleven pre-made deal. They actually were back there making it. But that was very skeptical. But my girlfriend, shout out Janie, brought me that roll because we needed a snack before dinner, and it was actually fire. And then I had an even better meal, which was Sprouts, which I didn't know this has a deli, and made a fresh sandwich for $5.99, and it was massive. It was amazing. 10 out of 10 lunch today. Have you ever had either of those?
I have had Kroger sushi, and yeah, let's just say I went to war for a little bit, but
No.
I don't know if I would do that again personally. But Sprouts has good stuff. I can't say I can attest to the sandwich, but man, no, they have a good selection of stuff, and it's really fresh. Yeah.
So the weird thing though is, I guess the certain Sprouts will toast it. This Sprouts didn't, so I don't know if I got the full experience. But it was a solid
Man.
8.2 out of 10. But
It's a
if you want-
Sunday, man. They're busy. They don't got time to toast your bread.
dude, the guy said we don't toast here. I was like, my bad. Sorry, it's my first time out here in the Sprouts deli that I didn't even know existed.
That's awesome. Oh man. All right. Well, to close it out, I do gotta say, the last pod we made predictions. You didn't do too hot. I think you came back 2-2. I didn't do too hot either. Let's be real. That was a really sad week. But it's time to redeem yourself, sir. So let's talk about the week ahead. You have 2 days off. You play the Pelicans, and then you got the Nuggets, and then you close the week out with the Miami Heat. So only 3 games this week. What you got? You're at Denver, at Miami, and at Atlanta. So a little bit of a. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped it. You got one home game against the Pelicans. Then you're at
Right.
Denver, at Miami.
It's always the on paper games that the Mavs lose, but
It
Mavs
is.
are going to beat the Pelicans. They're the most injury riddled team in the league, so
Yeah, ribs
I'm
on.
very confident
Again,
saying
again,
they take that.
back to all the injuries. It's not fun.
Yeah, I feel really bad for them actually. So we'll win that game. The Mavs at Denver is a trap game in high elevation, but Luka is winning it this time.
Okay.
Give me the Mavs there.
I mean, you still have that. You may have Daddy Jokic busy, so who knows?
He'll definitely be back then, but the Mavs are gonna take it this time. Um, sorry if you hear my dog snoring in the background. She's knocked. The Heat are 5-7. We're gonna beat the Heat 3-0. I'm not a homer. I'm just a massive
Wow.
homer. Which game am I wrong on, Mitchell?
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you. Jaime Jaquez was another member of my fantasy team that I actually dropped when I saw him get injured tonight. Honestly, they may have Jimmy Butler back by then. I think Jimmy Butler is expected to come back the game before they play us. So that may be the only one that I'm a little concerned about. Because Tyler Hero's going off this year, bro. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen. He's averaging 24 a game.
What?
So yeah, if they're fully healthy, that may actually be an interesting one. So we'll have to see. But they haven't been playing well against Western Conference teams
Right.
lately. So we'll have to see.
Right,
I'll
we'll
say
see.
I'll say 2-1. I'll say 2-1, and the only game they drop is to the Heat.
All right, I respect you not being a massive homer like myself, but Mitchell, the first podcast we ever did, I was way late to cut it off. The second one, I started recording too late and was way too late to cut it off. So today, I'm going to try to cut it off clean and actually crop this pod. So to anyone that's made it this far, shoot me a DM. Props to you. But let's try to end this one strong. Do you have any final takes?
Go to your nearest driving range. Support your local driving range. Try golf if you haven't. Eat the Sprouts sandwich, and let's go Mavs. 3-0 hopefully, but I'm saying 2-1 this week.
Don't eat the Kroger sushi, according to Mitchell.
Do
I wish you told me
not
that.
do
this
not
morning,
eat the
but-
Kroger sushi. That has a red label warning on it.
Good looks. Mitchell, it was fun. Mavs fans, peace.